It was a chilly evening in the small hill station town where everyone knew everyone. Nestled in the misty mountains, it was a place where the nights came early and the air always had a biting coldness to it. A young boy, perhaps 12 or 13, decided to take a stroll before it got too dark. The winding, deserted, hilly road beckoned him. He pulled his jacket tighter around him as the clouds began to darken, and soon a light drizzle began to fall. The road was eerily empty, and the only sound he could hear was the gentle patter of rain on the leaves and the occasional rustling of the wind. As the boy walked, he noticed up ahead in the distance an old man walking with a slight limp. The man was holding an umbrella, moving slowly and steadily, his figure shrouded in a long, tattered coat. The boy, not wanting to be alone, quickened his pace, trying to catch up with the man, but no matter how fast he walked, the old man always seemed to be just out of reach. His legs began to burn from the effort, and he started to feel an unsettling chill crawl up his spine. Something wasn't right. He called out to the man, "Excuse me, sir." His voice echoed through the mist, but the man didn't turn. He just kept walking, always just far enough that the boy could never quite reach him. The drizzle grew heavier, the evening darker. Panic started to set in. The boy broke into a run, trying desperately to catch up with the old man. His heart pounded in his chest, his breath coming in quick, ragged gasps. But the man seemed to glide further and further away, disappearing into the fog. The boy shouted again, but his voice was swallowed by the cold night air. Suddenly, the piercing sound of a police siren broke the silence behind him. The boy stopped and turned around, startled. A police car pulled up beside him, its headlights cutting through the mist. Two officers stepped out, their faces serious but concerned. One of them spoke. "What are you doing out here alone, son? It's dangerous to be walking on these roads after dark." Relieved, the boy immediately replied, "I'm not alone. There's an old man walking just ahead. I was trying to catch up to him." The officers exchanged glances. One of them frowned. "What old man?" The boy turned, pointing down the path where the old man had been just moments ago. But his heart sank into his stomach as he realized there was no one there. The road was completely empty, stretching out into the growing darkness. His voice trembled as he stammered. He was right there. I swear, he was just ahead of me." The officers shook their heads, one of them gently resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Come on, son. Let's get you home." The boy glanced back once more at the empty road, his mind racing. Where had the old man gone? He had seen him, hadn't he? He couldn't have just vanished into thin air. But the mist, the darkness, and the strange, oppressive silence told him otherwise. Something about the road seemed wrong now, and a gnawing fear crept into his bones. As the officers drove him home, the boy sat quietly in the back seat, replaying the scene in his head. The old man's hunched figure, the tattered coat, the way he moved but never seemed to get closer. He realized something then. The old man hadn't been walking ahead of him. He had been leading him, pulling him deeper into the misty night, and somehow, the boy knew he had narrowly escaped something far worse than being alone in the dark. Back in his warm home, as the boy lay in bed that night, the sound of rain tapping against his window, he couldn't shake the image of that old man. He didn't know who he was, or where he had come from, but he was certain of one thing: that Erie Trail wasn't as empty as it seemed.